If food is your only way of regulating or gaining dopamine, you, my friend, I hate to be the one to tell you, but you have a very rocky road ahead of you. Pardon the pun, I know Rocky Road is a chocolate sweet and treat. I love Rocky Road. But people that are only getting dopamine through food are, of course, going to struggle with their relationship with food. Food, fortunately or unfortunately, is the one dopamine source, unlike exercise, reading, hanging out with friends, watching your favorite movie, that requires you to insert energy into the body. It's the only one that actually requires you to insert it, right? In comparison to all these other activities that I mentioned there that exert energy. And exercise, obviously, the biggest component of that. It doesn't cost many calories or energy to read a book, for example. With that said, yes, of course, when we're digesting food, we are burning calories. But if you were to look at the percentage terms, you are burning a lot less, considerably less calories consuming food than you are, or burning, consuming food than you are ingesting. And ultimately, in this video, I want to tell you where you can send your dopamine instead. How you can move away from seeing food as this sole source of happiness and joy for you. As someone that struggled with that for so long myself, right? I struggled with using food as a dopamine source for 10 years. I've struggled, particularly in the last 5 to 10, with understanding where I can get dopamine from. You know, I've really struggled with friendships, with loneliness, with connection, with hobbies and interests. And, very commonly over the last 5 to 10 years, I turned to food to be that emotional comfort blanket for me. And where did that leave me? Well, it led me to 10 years of disordered eating, 10 years of binge eating. However, things can change. And over the last few years, I have been coaching and helping people that, just like me, were using food as that comfort blanket and binge eating every single night or consistently every single week, eliminate that and find purpose outside of food and happiness and joy outside of food. And I've helped over 50 people achieve that now. So I know what I'm talking about. And you should spend the next 5-10 minutes, however long this video is, really listening and really consuming and trying to be present, because it may just change your entire outlook on life and on food. Why I want to talk about this topic today is a recent conversation with a individual that was really interested in my coaching. And by the way, if you're interested in my coaching, there is a link down below which you can follow. I'll talk more about this at the end, but ultimately there's a link down below which will tell you everything you need to know about it. He was someone that had ran all his life, and he was someone that loved running. That was his form of dopamine, which is a whole kind of journey in itself. You shouldn't just have one form of dopamine, guys, is what I'm trying to say. You shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket. That is the premise of this video. It can be very unhealthy if you get all your dopamine from exercise, right? Because in his case, he got injured and he couldn't run anymore. So he started to turn to food as that dopamine source. And what happened was he put on weight, a lot of weight, over 25 kilos, he told me. And it subsequently led him to hate himself, hate his image, and ultimately he then really struggled with binge eating for multiple years after, and still does today because of this, because he was trying to lose all the weight he'd gained, white knuckle control and discipline. And we know that, on this channel, when you try to do that and you're not fueling properly, you are ultimately going to struggle with binging and overeating. So the main question you probably have is, well, how can I find forms of dopamine outside of exercise and food? And it's very simple, right? Think about what you used to enjoy when you were a kid, is what I would advise you to think about. And if I ask myself that question, I used to love chilling in like the skate park with my friends. Felt really cool because there was like older guys there. I used to love playing football with my friends, which is soccer to anyone in the US and UK and Australia, sorry, not the UK. I used to enjoy playing rugby. I used to really enjoy video games and just general games in general, card games, board games. And that's what you therefore need to go seek dopamine from. And what's consistent is if you just did that thought exercise with me, you'll realize that pretty much all your dopamine will come from connection, social connection, and challenge, problem solving, games, sport, exercise. These are all the things that we therefore should be focusing on and trying to find enjoyment in. And if we don't, unfortunately, what can happen is we have such low levels of dopamine that the only place we can get it is food. That's the only place we want to get it because it's the easiest. It's so easy to order food to your house, eat it in silo, and feel that temporary dopamine response. It's very similar to the effects of doom scrolling, TikTok, Instagram Reels on our brain today. And it's why things like these, these longer form YouTube videos that are very raw and natural are really popular, becoming even more popular nowadays. Because people are sick and tired of these instant dopamine hits that are not serving us. Like, we're not built to have that. We are not built just to have short hits of dopamine every, few minutes, right? We need to have dopamine that comes from delayed gratification, that comes from shared sacrifice and suffering. And when I'm talking about this, guys, I don't mean, suffer. I mean, shared suffering is, you're out on a run with your friends, or you're playing football with your friends, for example. And that, that's suffering, that's challenging, right? You're exerting energy. Or I'm talking about delayed gratification in the form of reading a book, for example, and finishing it. Or playing Monopoly with your friends, which takes hours to complete a game, right? These are where we should be focusing our time and how we should be getting dopamine out of our life. And if we don't, and we continue to let food be that sole dopamine source, I'm sorry to tell you this, and I know that's why you're watching this video, but you will struggle with food and your relationship with food for the rest of your life. Your weight will always be a problem. You will always be struggling with overeating episodes and binge eating, and it will never get better. It will never get better. And I can comfortably tell you this as someone that struggled for 10 years with this journey, and also that helps people that are way older than me. I've got clients that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s that have struggled with binge eating, overeating, all their life. Because again, they have used food as that dopamine source, and they haven't reached out to the right people when they're lonely or they're sad, for example, and they've used food as that comfort blanket. But time and time again, the evidence shows us that that is not healthy. It's not healthy at all. So, if you've enjoyed this video, I don't actually want you to click the link in my description. I first want you to click around my YouTube videos. See if there's anything else that you can consume that will give you more context on the problems that you're dealing with, and maybe why you're dealing with these problems too. And if after that point of reviewing various videos of mine, you feel like I could be a really beneficial helper for you in this journey, then I would really implore you to click the link in the description. The one that says about working with me. It will give you details, exactly all the information you need to know about my approach, who it's for, who I've helped in the past, and therefore whether it's a good fit for you. But ultimately, if you are someone that wants to regain control around your relationship with food, that wants to start exercising for enjoyment, not out of punishment, that wants to love your body regardless of its shape, these are all the big reasons as to why people start working with me. So what I will do is I will include that link down below. I implore you to click it and I will, also look forward to seeing you in future videos. Have a good one.